Chapter 2. The Titan's Shadow Titan Capital Headquarters, Midtown Manhattan 2.1, the Tower of Glass. Titan Capital's headquarters was a gleaming monolith of black glass and steel that pierced the Manhattan skyline like a dagger. Like a dagger, it rose above the noise, arrogance etched into every floor. No signage, no banners, no press tours. Those who needed to know what it was already did. Alec stood in the revolving doors, palms sweaty despite the crisp spring wind. Naveen had warned him to stay away. So had his instincts. But Prometheus had stirred something far deeper than curiosity now. It had lit the fuse of something vast, ancient, and methodical. Inside, the silence was clinical. A young assistant dressed in charcoal grey and wired into some invisible headset greeted him with a nod and gestured toward the elevator. No ID check, no security scan, as if they'd been expecting him his whole life. He ascended alone, floor after floor, rising like layers of power until the elevator stopped at level 99. The doors opened to silence, and the Queen of the Empire waited. 2.2. Victoria Reigns. Victoria Reigns sat at the head of a glass conference table, the Manhattan skyline sprawling behind her like a trophy. She was in her early 50s, radiant in an ice-white suit that shimmered faintly in the daylight. Her silver hair was braided down her back like a battle cord. Her eyes, steel blue, unblinking, studied Alec like a hawk eyeing a falcon it might adopt or destroy. "So," she said, voice low and surgical, "you're the boy who sees ghosts in the market." Alec didn't sit. "I didn't come here to sell anything." She smiled faintly. "Everyone sells something, Mr. Ward. Even silence has value." He finally sat. "Then let's skip the theater. What do you want?" She leaned forward. "Your algorithm." There it was. 2.3, the offer. Victoria slid a black folder across the table. Inside, Alec found a single sheet. A contract. Non-disclosure. Non-compete. A salary so absurd it made him laugh. He shook his head. "No, Prometheus isn't for sale." "You misunderstand," she said, still smiling. "It's not a purchase, it's an adoption. We'll give you a full lab, unlimited resources, protection." "From what?" She didn't answer directly. Instead, she activated a screen behind her. Graphs, charts, the same anomalies Alec had seen. "But you might be the only one who doesn't realize it's listening back. But you might be the only one who doesn't realize it's listening back." Alec felt a chill. "We've been tracking you for weeks," she continued, "and we're impressed. Prometheus is elegant, intuitive, dangerous." He narrowed his eyes. "You think it can be weaponized? I know it can." 2.4. The Temptation. She stood and circled him slowly, her heels clicking on polished obsidian tile. "We live in a post-truth economy, Alec. Markets move on narrative, not fact. Control the narrative and you control the economy. Your algorithm can write the future. I didn't build it for manipulation, but that's all markets are. Controlled illusions. You either direct the game or die trying to expose it." She leaned down beside him, voice now a whisper. "You want to know what happened to your father?" His heart stopped. He wasn't weak. He was too good, too curious, like you, but he didn't have anyone to protect him. She stepped back. "Join me, Alec, or you'll end up like him, brilliant, alone, and erased." 2.5. The Poisoned Chalice. Alec left with no promises. Victoria didn't press. She simply said, "3 days, decide, or someone else will." Outside, the city had changed, or perhaps his vision had. Every LED screen, every moving ticker tape now felt like coded messages in an unseen war. The sky above the Hudson felt tighter, the shadows longer. Back in his apartment, Naveen was waiting. "You looked like you saw the devil," he said. Alec dropped the folder onto the counter. "She's worse than the devil," he said. "She's rational." 2.6. The other offer. That night, Alec received a second message. No signature, no contact info, just a video link. He played it. On the screen, a man sat in shadow, voice distorted. You're at the crossroads now. Titan Capital is not what it seems. Victoria is not the worst of them. She's a gatekeeper. If you give them Prometheus, you'll give them the world. But if you try to expose them, they'll bury you. There's a third way. I'll contact you soon. The video cut to black. Alec stared at the screen, the room suddenly colder. 2.7. The trader's ghost. Unable to sleep, Alec pulled out his father's old notebooks, yellowed, cryptic, filled with sketches of trade systems and notes in shorthand. He flipped through them until one page made him stop. It was a chart, nearly identical to Prometheus's latest alert, dated June 2008. At the bottom, a single handwritten note. They move in cycles, 7 years, then reset, not chaos, design. Follow the algorithm, not the money. Alec looked at the date again. If the cycle held, then the next crash was overdue. 2.8. The Titan's Trap. The next morning, Alec received a friendly check-in from Titan's legal team. The message was subtle but clear. They already had people watching him. Then came the financial hit. His research lab's funding, frozen, servers, seized under a tax audit. Partners, ghosted. Only Prometheus survived, backed up offline in a secret drive Naveen had hidden. They're forcing your hand, Naveen said. Alec stared out the window. No, he whispered. They're showing me their fear.